Hey everyone, it is Tanya. Welcome back to the channel, or welcome if you are new here. Today I am back with another part of my state series where I am slowly going through and building houses loosely inspired by the 50 US states. Basically, I do some research on each state as well as look at Zillow listings to get an idea of the architecture that I am seeing the most often throughout various towns and cities in each of these states and being inspired by that. Sometimes it's a little goofy because I'll find some silly things that I find included in some of the listings, so not everything here is meant to be taken seriously, and of course they are not going to be perfect as I have not visited all 50 states, so please take this with a grain of salt. But today we are tackling the state of Connecticut. Connecticut is the southernmost state in the New England region of the northeastern United States, and it became the 5th state on January 9th, 1788. By area, Connecticut is the 3rd smallest state, but even so, it is the 5th most densely populated state. It is bordered by Rhode Island to its east, Massachusetts to its north, New York to its west, and Long Island Sound to the south. In addition to being part of New England, this state is also part of the tri-state area with New York and New Jersey. And let me know if you agree. Whenever I think of the term tri-state area, I just think of Doofenshmirtz from Phineas and Ferb. I don't really remember the storyline, but I just remember him saying it, like maybe he wanted to take over that area. Anyway, back to the build now. The outside is starting to come together. It's this pretty typical style that I've seen in a lot of homes throughout the country. And I've done a couple of builds like this on the channel before where it just looks like a kind of dated suburban home where the top floor kind of juts out a little further than the bottom floor. I think generally speaking, these are more split level homes where you enter in and you can go either downstairs or upstairs. When you first enter, you're kind of on a stair landing area, but that is not how the inside of this house works, of course, because The Sims is kind of finicky and I didn't think it was going to work too well, so I decided to just have that on the main floor. But that was a house type that I found a lot when I was looking in various towns when I was looking on Zillow. I believe I looked in Hartford, West Hartford, New Haven, and I want to say New Britain. And speaking of which, I believe I have a little bit of that written down, which I will get to here momentarily. I have a big list of facts that I read off of every time I do one of these state builds. So that's kind of why I had that little spiel in the beginning there of where the state is located. But Connecticut is known as the Constitution State, the Nutmeg State, the Provision State, and the Land of Steady Habits. I have no idea what that means. The name Connecticut is derived from the Mohegan Pequot word that has been translated as Long Tidal River and Upon the Long River, which are referring to the Connecticut River that runs throughout the state. And the state actually used to have 2 capitals, both Hartford and New Haven. It was from colonial times where there was a rivalry between the settlements of those 2 areas. And then in 1701, the 2 cities were named co-capitals with separate capital buildings. The General Assembly met in New Haven once a year and Hartford 6 months later, and the policy of dual capitals was re-examined in the 1860s. It was determined that the cost of maintaining 2 buildings and separate records was too expensive, so a public vote administered in 1875, Hartford became the official only capital of the state. Connecticut also created the very first written constitution, which was called the Fundamental Orders and was written in 1639. It basically described how the people of the state colony would govern themselves as a self-ruling colony. Also, the state insect is the praying mantis, which praying mantis are so cool, but they're also kind of scary in my opinion because they're so big. Let me know your opinion on praying mantis and if they're something you've seen before, or because I feel like not everyone has. There's a lot of bugs that I've heard people talk about that are more on the West Coast that I'm not very familiar with, but praying mantis I am because I'm from New England. And I think they're kind of creepy because they're so big. I don't like bugs. So I'd be curious to know what everyone else's opinions of that are. I could imagine them being around this yard here since this is based on Connecticut and it's the state insect. I wonder if there's more in that state. I'm actually really curious about that. How do state insects and state birds and all of that come to be? Does it have to do with how many are in a state, or do they just pick one that they're like, we like this one. I've never actually looked that up before. But anyway, the outside of this home is coming together. I think it's really cute. It looks like just a cozy family home, which is a lot of what I was seeing when I was looking up houses. It was either this or there were some more like Victorian-esque homes that were multi-family units. I was seeing a lot of that as well, but I feel like that would be better suited for when we get for rent. And I had already written down which states I was doing, and I was seeing a lot of these as well, so I decided to do this. But if you have any specific state suggestions you would like to see for when the for rent expansion pack comes out, let me know, because I think it would be cool to have some multi-family units for the state series, and I'm trying to do more of them. You've probably noticed this is my second one in like a week. I just came back with Texas. Now we have Connecticut. I have a few other ones written down, but I don't have a specific order. So if you have any ideas of what you'd like to see next, definitely let me know, and I will try to keep them coming because I'm having fun with this. And I know it's a series that I kind of abandoned for long periods of time and then come back to suddenly. So I'd like to at least have a few more out before the end of the year. I think that could be really fun, and it'll be nice to kind of break up some of the for rent content that I'm sure is going to be everywhere next month, but maybe we can incorporate that into the state series as well. But anyway, the floor plan is starting to come together now. I started it being a little bit more closed off, and I think this is probably how the house used to be, but we ended up opening up the floor plan a little bit later on when I start to furnish, and I think that's pretty realistic to knock down walls over time. So I'm thinking this is a home that's probably been here for a while, at least since like the 70s, and it's been renovated more recently to open up that kitchen and dining space. So there's not that separate hallway or the walls dividing them. But the other side of the house, I do have quite sectioned off with a garage, a bathroom, an office, and a living room that has a really big fireplace, which I think is really pretty. I also did heavily utilize the Cats and Dogs expansion pack in this build, both for the world we're building this in. This is in Brindleton Bay, as well as a lot of the items that I was using because Brindleton Bay is based on New England. So it made sense to build and utilize those items for a state in that area. So anyway, back to my facts. Some of the world's most famous cloth is woven in the Stafford textile mills. And Connecticut's most important crops are dairy, poultry, forest and nursery, tobacco, vegetables, and fruit. And I thought this one was really cool. Connecticut is home to the first hamburger, the first Polaroid camera, the first helicopter, and the first color television. I feel like those are pretty significant things, and I never knew any of that. I've never really thought about where the first hamburger came from, and I assumed it wasn't in the United States, so that's really interesting. Also, Pez candy is made in the city of Orange in Connecticut. And also the state is home to the oldest U.S. newspaper still being published, which is called the Hartford Courant, and it was established in 1764. Unfortunately, I couldn't include newspapers in this build. I try to incorporate some of the facts into the builds from time to time to make it, be connected more so than just talking about the facts and looking at Zillow listings. But we don't have newspapers in The Sims 4. We did it in The Sims 3 and in The Sims 2, but I guess it makes sense because I don't really know anyone that gets a newspaper anymore. Let me know if you get a newspaper or you know anyone that does. I just feel like it's something that a lot of people don't do anymore, which makes sense why we don't have it in The Sims anymore. Same thing with landline phones. That's just not really a thing. But I did include a landline phone in this house because of another fact that we will be getting to here shortly, because we do have that decorative landline old phone from the Basement Treasures kit. So that does end up being in the living room. And actually, I'll just skip forward to explain why I did that. The first phone book was actually published in Connecticut, and it included 50 individuals and businesses, but no phone numbers, which is really interesting to me because it was a phone book with no phone numbers. And actually on January 28th, 1878, 21 citizens of New Haven became the world's first subscribers to the telephone exchange service. So I think that's really cool. So I thought it made the most sense to have a phone, like a landline phone in this house. So That'll be in the living room. It's not functional because it's The Sims 4, but I thought it was a cool addition. But this is the downstairs bathroom. It's just a half bath. This is only I believe, 2-bathroom house. There's a bathroom upstairs, and all of the bedrooms are upstairs as well. It's a 3-bedroom house. I kind of staged it as parents and 2 teenagers that have kind of different personalities. I had an idea of like, I like to visualize the Sims that live in my houses sometimes. And I was kind of thinking they had certain interests growing up, and that might have changed a little bit, but some of the furniture is still the same in their rooms because it's not necessarily realistic to buy all new furniture when your Sims or your real life kids go from like children to teenagers. So you'll see that when we get to that space, but this is going to be that living room. I really wanted to have a big fireplace in here. I did have a chimney on the outside of the house, so I thought having that connected would be nice. And I was seeing a lot of brick fireplaces. I thought about using the one from Parenthood at first, but I decided to go with this one from Cats and Dogs. And actually that painting up above the couch I thought was perfect. It's also from Cats and Dogs, but it has that red bridge on it that every time I've seen that, it makes me think of Beetlejuice. And I just did the Beetlejuice house and found out that it was based on Connecticut. So it makes sense that I would include that in this build. So I liked that. I also got that phone right here that I had mentioned and that little statue of a bunch of like tall city buildings. And I thought of that because of the tri-state area in New York City. So I thought that was a cool idea. I also got some recliners in here. I just wanted it to be a cozy space your Sims could relax and have like a decent sized family all sitting in the same space. So just decorating this side table here. I got a lot of these really pretty lamps as well that are from Cats and Dogs. They're just really pretty and they scream New England to me. So I thought it was only appropriate. And then I also put a cushion in this little bay window, which I thought was really cute. But let's move back to some of our facts. This one I thought was fun. Every once in a while, I include some of these silly, like, old rules or laws that are completely not being upheld because they're ridiculous. And apparently in Hartford, the state capital, you may not, under any circumstances, cross the street while walking on your hands. I love that. Also, according to Connecticut state law, a pickle has to bounce in order to be considered a pickle. I've never tried to bounce a pickle. That one I thought was just really funny and very different. I've read a lot of goofy laws like that over the years for all kinds of places, especially for the state series though, but it's just kind of fun to look up bizarre laws. I believe there's like something about drafts that I mentioned in one of the state series videos. I don't remember them off the top of my head, but those are always some of my favorite facts are like the bizarre laws. Let me know if there are any bizarre laws in your state or ones you want me to cover if we do tackle a specific state. Always open to hearing some more of those. But anyway, this is going to be the garage space. It's not really big enough for a car, but we don't have functional cars in the game anyway, so I thought it was fine. I ended up putting laundry out here. We have a bike out here and a bunch of like storage items. All the typical things I would put in a garage. It just felt like an appropriate thing to have in this home based on all of the pictures I was finding of Zillow listings that had this style of home. They all had a garage. So I decided to actually treat it as one and not try and turn it into a bedroom or something. But you could definitely repurpose this to be a bedroom if you would prefer to have it that way. You can actually grab this build on the gallery right now and change it however you'd like. It is available on the gallery under my EA ID, which is Gryphi, Gryphi. You can also find it under the hashtag Gryphi. That information will also be in the description down below as well. I did add a punching bag in here, Christmas decorations, also a trash can. I like to do the outdoor trash cans in the garages. It just looks cleaner to me, but I think I might have put one in the backyard as well. So you're going to have options on where your Sims throw out their trash, but that should be pretty much it for the bottom floor. I'm pretty sure. I think we're just going to be heading upstairs now and working on the primary bedroom. So I decided I wanted to use this bed from Cats and Dogs just because it feels more coastal to me. So that is what I opted for, but I did not use bedside tables from that pack. I just didn't like them. So I ended up using these bedside tables from the high school years pack. And then I got this rug here with some like floral patterns on it. I thought it was quite pretty. And I did struggle with the color scheme in here for quite some time. You'll see the back wall changes a few different times. But I think it came out okay in the end. It's very neutral in here, but I think that's okay. It looks cozy, and you're mostly just coming in here to sleep anyway, so having a comfortable space to relax in is kind of the top priority. So that is what this room is going to be like, just adding an additional window here, as this wall felt a little bit blank, so I thought adding a window wouldn't be a bad idea. I also added a fake hamper in here just because I think it's annoying to have the functional ones all over the house when you do have laundry. I prefer to put the functional ones by the laundry machines, so your Sims can just grab the laundry from there and not run around the house and grab everything and waste like multiple hours in game trying to figure out the laundry, as realistic as that might be to real life. I don't want my Sims to suffer that much. I think it's kind of fun to have the laundry gameplay in game, but I don't want it to be as time consuming and annoying as it is in real life. But anyway, that room is done now, and we're moving on to our first teenager's room, which I was thinking was for a Sim that was really into basketball. I have some other sports posters in here, but I have a primary focus on basketball because we have quite a few things that revolve around that, and I was inspired by the swatch on this bed from high school years that's like pinks, purples, and blues, so I thought that that would be a really fun idea for this room, and I think it comes out really cute in the end. I'm really happy with this room, so I hope you will enjoy it as well. But as that plays out, let's get back to some of my facts. I only have a few left. So Mark Twain wrote many of his novels in the state of Connecticut. He was born in Missouri, but some of his best works were written in his home in Hartford, Connecticut, where he moved to in his 40s. Both The Adventures of Tom Sawyer and The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn, as well as many others, were penned during the 17 years he lived in Connecticut. Also, the first nuclear submarine was built in Connecticut, and finally, the first speed limit in the United States was in Connecticut. You couldn't surpass 12 miles per hour on city roads or 15 miles per hour on country roads. So that's come a long way. I feel like no speed limits are that slow anymore, but I guess it makes sense. I wonder what year that was created in. I've heard, didn't we just talk about like the fastest speed limit in the state or in the country was in Texas during our last state build? So that's kind of funny how they all started here. So I like learning about all of the states through this series. I know a lot of you have expressed the same thing when I post these builds, that it's interesting to have like a little bit of a history lesson while we build something, and it's just been really fun for me. I do really enjoy reading about each state, but also like just getting inspiration to build something based off of them. I think it's really cool, and I'm excited to do some more. So we are continuing this bedroom now. We're almost done with it, but please leave some ideas down below on which state you would like to hear me talk about next, build based on next, include any things you think I need to make sure not to forget. That definitely helps out. I know for when we did Pennsylvania, everyone was like, please include a Pittsburgh toilet. And so I made sure to do that. I hadn't heard of that before, but it's a whole thing that is even in the thumbnail of that video. So any little tidbits like that, I would love to hear. But anyway, I am just finishing up the decorations over here. I really wanted this sim to be super into music. I was kind of thinking that this sim in particular, when they were younger, were like taking piano lessons and things like that. And they had like maybe a lighter color scheme in the room. That's why the wood colors are the colors they are. But as they've gotten older and become a teenager, they're a little bit more interested in darker colors and edgier music. And so that's kind of represented in their room. It's very green and lime green. And honestly, that was like my favorite color scheme growing up. So I understand. And then I just have this little platform at the end of the hallway because of the platforms I was using on the first floor. The staircase, or not the staircase, the front door clips into the top floor. So I decided to put a platform there and just have it as a decorative space. I thought that that worked out nicely. And then we're back outside finishing up some landscaping, just framing out this area with the bushes. And then we should be adding some stuff to the backyard. I also have a swing set outside, which I thought was really cute. I really wanted just to have a couple of items here and there that showed that this family has lived here for a while. They have some, gym, or not gym, I guess, playground equipment from when their kids were kids, but they're teenagers now. And I don't do a lot of houses that are for Sims that have teenagers. It's usually for like young kids. So this was kind of nice to do and a little bit different. But anyway, just moving these bushes around, making sure those are framed in with a low-lying fence. And then getting a table back here. I thought about using a picnic bench, but I didn't like how it looked. It felt like we had too much space for that. So I ended up getting like a full table and chairs so you could have a lot of people out here dining. We have a nice barbecue as well as a little, I want to call it a bonfire, but it's not a bonfire. What is it called? Fire pit. Is that what it's called? We have a place over here to like roast marshmallows and hot dogs and fish and all of that in the game. So I put some benches around there. I also put a rug out here. I'm going to only keep one of these, but I thought it was nice as an outdoor rug. The other one I get rid of because I wanted to put the fire over there, and that seems like an extreme fire hazard. So I got rid of that. And yeah, I should be getting a hot tub back here as well as some planters. And I can't remember if I added monkey bars or not. I think I thought about it. I just don't remember if I added it. But I did still want to have an umbrella over the table, so I grabbed one from Debug and put that over that table. And here is the hot tub I decided to use. I really wanted one with a roof, so the base game one actually came in handy here. So I was quite happy with that. And then I'm just doing some more terrain paint. I added some more plants off camera, and that should be pretty much it for this build. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure you give this video a big thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you would like to see more, and click that bell to be notified when I upload. Also, leave suggestions for the next state build in the comments down below, specifically ones that we could utilize the new expansion pack for Rent for. With that, I'm going to leave you to the screenshots. I hope you enjoy them, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye, everyone.